Okay, so we gotta talk about how Mercedes-AMG is bringing back the V8, but also kind of ruining it. Yeah, the same engine they just swore off a couple years ago. But before we start celebrating the return of German muscle, there's a catch. And depending on how you feel about hybrid tech, weight, and price tags, it might not be the comeback we were hoping for. So today, let's talk about how AMG is reviving the V8 and why it's still not that simple. Pull up, let's take a look. Back in 2022, Mercedes started pulling the plug on V8s across the board. They blamed emissions, they blamed regulations, but really it felt like the end of an era. The C63 went from a twin-turbo V8 monster to a four-cylinder hybrid, and car fans lost their minds. But now Mercedes says the V8 is back, starting with the GLE and the GLS in 2026, and likely making its way into more AMGs from there. But here's the thing though, it's not the same raw, angry V8 we remember. This one's been reworked heavily. It's still got power, but it's also got batteries, weight, and a different mission now. So what's the catch? Simple. It's a plug-in hybrid. Yeah, you get your V8 rumble back, but it's definitely not the star of the show anymore. It's part of a bigger, cleaner, quieter package. And that means more complexity and a whole lot more weight. Take the current S63 E-Performance. It makes over 800 horsepower, but it weighs nearly 5,700 pounds. Not only is that SUV territory, but it's the same size as a full-grown Rhino. It's fast, it's luxurious, but it's not the raw, tire-shredding AMG we used to get from the C63 Black Series. It's like they gave us the steak back, but with kale on the sides. So why bring it back at all? Well, Mercedes saw the backlash. Enthusiasts hated the four-cylinder C63. Dealers couldn't move them, and casual buyers were like, wait, this costs how much? And sounds like a sewing machine? They realized the V8 wasn't just about power, it was identity. And killing it off completely, that was a branding disaster. So this hybrid V8 is their compromise. It makes the emissions people happy, checks the performance boxes, and gives buyers something familiar without totally going backwards. It's a chess move, but it's not exactly a win for the purist. Here's what this means going forward. AMG isn't going back to basics. They're not reviving the naturally aspirated era. They're just trying to soften the transition into an electric future a little. The V8 is sticking around, but they're doing it on their terms. Expect big power, yes, but also expect big weight, big price tags, and a lot of tech that's going to get in the way of that old school feeling. And this might be the last time we get to hear that V8 growl in something new, because the writing is still on the wall. Full EV AMGs are coming, and when they land, they won't make noise. They'll just break necks silently. So let's talk tech. The upcoming V8 isn't just a rehash of the old one. AMG is developing a new flat plane V8 with mild hybrid technology. That's a departure from the traditional cross-plane design. It allows for higher revs and a more aggressive throttle response, but it also changes the engine sound. Less of that deep rumble, more of a high-pitched wail. In that mild hybrid system, it's a 48-volt setup with an integrated starter generator, which if you do a little bit of research, you'll see that this has not performed very well for them in the past. Not a full plug-in hybrid, but enough to provide a boost in efficiency and performance. So it's a blend of old and new, keeping the V8 alive, but also adapting it for the future. But now we can address the elephant in the room. Weight. We all know hybrid systems add serious bulk. And like I said earlier, the current S63 E-Performance is pushing just over 5,700 pounds. And that is heavier than some full-size SUVs. And shrinking it down a bit, even the C63 SE Performance with this four-cylinder hybrid setup weighs around 4,700 pounds. That is 800 pounds more than the previous V8 model. All that weight affects handling, braking, and overall driving dynamics. Yes, the power is there, but the agility is not. It's a trade-off. More power and efficiency, but at the cost of that nimble, connected feeling. So why is AMG even going through all this trouble? Emissions regulations. The EU set a deadline by 2035. All new cars must be zero emission. That means no more internal combustion engines unless they are hybrid or running some sort of synthetic fuel. In the US, there's no firm cutoff yet, but the pressure is there. And AMG is just trying to thread the needle, keeping the V8 alive while meeting stricter emission standards. This new mild hybrid V8 is just a stopgap, a way to extend the life of the engine while buying some time to develop even better EVs. And just like all the other brands, AMG isn't operating in a vacuum. BMW's M division decided to stick with V8s in models like the M5 and the X5M. Audi's RS models still offer V8 power in RS6 and RS7s, but both brands are exploring electrification. BMW is right on track to develop that first electric M model, and Audi has announced plans to go fully electric by 2033. AMG's move to a hybrid V8 is about staying competitive, offering the performance buyers expect while preparing for an electric future. So where does this leave us? plus. If you're an enthusiast, it is a mixed bag. On one hand, we get the V8 back. On the other hand, it's heavier, more complex, and less visceral. The sound is different, the feel is different. It's not the AMG we fell in love with, but it's not a complete departure either. It's an evolution, not a revolution. And for now, it might be the best that we can hope for. Let me know in the comments, would you take one of these new hybrid V8 AMGs, or are you sticking with the old school monsters while they still exist? Smash that like button and don't forget to watch this next video to see how Ford plans to completely ruin the Mustang. Catch you in the next one.